Hello, welcome to the Wealth Transfer. Global economics and biblical principles, protecting and preserving your family's wealth. I am Chief Strategist Terry Sacka, along with Dr. Charles Vance. Hi, Charles.
Hey, Terry, it is so good to have you along today. Hope you'll stay around for the next little bit. Man, we had a great show last week. So much information.
On the gold, yes.
Yeah, on gold, and people understanding, wow, this is almost craziness that they're selling gold on paper and don't have it.
Well, people don't understand that part of it, and I think, what we need to do is know this. They're selling gold on paper for psychologically manipulated reasons. It's not really, they're making money on it, but it's for psychology. And so they're doing it to keep we the people, fooled, so we believe that the paper money banking system is okay. It's not. The credit market, it's not. So they want us to believe in that. If the gold and silver prices were too high, then we would know something's wrong. So they have sold about 550 ounces of gold on paper for every 1 real ounce, which is a tragic, concept. But what's even more tragic is we the people don't really know what gold and silver mean. And gold and silver is constitutional money, Article 1, Section 8. It's biblical money. And so what we want to do is show you, we were showing you how the Silk Road, we'll talk a little bit about the Silk Road, what that is, the BRICS, how that's important, the dollar reserve currency dominance, getting ready to be stepped down on. And then we show you how the gold is leaving the West, how it's leaving London. And then, of course, you see how Shanghai and the BRIC nations are buying it. So are we connecting the dots that there's something else happening? After this, we want to get into showing you real and raw economic data currently, if it's not already obvious, that'll help you make a better decision. So,
Terry, I don't want to just pound on this, but what would happen if we would start selling food on paper? That you could buy a bunch of paper that said you owned food, but yet when you needed the food, there wouldn't be any food there.
That's the same thing.
It is the same thing, and how tragic it would be for people. And I think people would maybe have a greater understanding of that if they would understand it's something that they're going to need at some point in their lives.
I know. The only thing that I've seen so far is people still don't believe that gold and silver is money. They don't understand that. They think it's an investment. They don't realize that it really is actually our constitutional and biblical money. They kind of lost their way on this because, and it's not their fault, it is to an extent, but it's the devil's way of manipulation.
Certainly.
Through the bankers. The bankers have successfully conditioned us that credit cards and this fake paper money is somehow valuable.
When I was a kid, my brother Mike's 4 years older than me, used to trade my dimes for his nickels because he told me his nickels were bigger. We ran a video probably 2-3 months ago where a guy was offering a chocolate bar or a piece of silver.
And they were taking the chocolate bar.
And they were taking the chocolate bar. And it's just what you said. They thought the chocolate bar was more valuable because they knew what they could do with it. They could eat it. And they didn't know what they could do with the silver.
And that's the issue, I guess, is we don't know what that means. But I just try to tell people silver in a vault is the exact same thing as currency in the bank. It's identical because our Constitution was always silver. So why is it a big deal? Because what's coming, there's going to be a search, and I would say almost seek and destroy, but a search for value. Value means you go to work, you get a paycheck, you get money, you call money currency, and you buy things, food and clothes, and pay rent and mortgages and so forth. There's value in you working. What happens is, when this collapse, or not collapse so much, because we're going to still be around, but the reset takes place. There'll be a search for value, meaning the paper money is going to be worth a lot less. There will be a lot more inflation too, by the way, even though we're in a deflation environment. I don't have to explain that to anyone. We're all buying food, clothes, everything is more expensive. And yet, our incomes are down and jobs are down and everything's so bad. I mean, we really need to take some business people in charge of this country for a while, I think, to do anything. But so we need to be in right place because when we seek value, they're going to find a dark hole when it comes to America. So, for instance, I want to show this import-export image of U.S. gold. The reason not only are they suppressing the price, but remember, nobody's buying our bonds. So we've had to kind of buy people off, and look at how we were doing this. This is kind of stunning. U.S. gold, export, import, and mine supply. Now, believe me, gold is important because mine supply, gold imports, and then look at our gold exports. Our gold exports are staggering, which leads us to be, this was leading right up to the end of just last year, a net deficit. Net deficit. We're giving our gold away. This is what we're giving away to people.
Now, we're selling it to people, but we're selling it to people for not gold or silver
we're
or
selling it to
tangible.
the East to buy our bonds.
Exactly.
And so
we're selling it for paper.
And you know what's really sad is what I just showed you is our country's mining supply, our recycling, and then our actual gold supply, and then what we send out. Now, we're not just sending gold out because it's worthless.
Sure.
We're sending it out because we're buying people off. They're buying our bonds. Mm-hmm. Now, this is so important because they're trying to keep the illusion that everything is okay when it's not. And when that illusion bursts, the bubble bursts, all of a sudden we're going to find out real value, real ability to buy something is going to be only tangible. And so we have been doing this now. That was last year. Do you know, Charles, we have literally, probably 10, 15 years now almost. We have a net deficit export of over 5,000 tons of gold. We're giving our gold away. Now, we create this illusion like somehow we have gold. But I have they haven't audited it in 40 years. I just have a bad feeling we don't have as much as people think. And all I know is we, the people that own God's asset of money, will be properly protected when in the right place. So it's important to gauge why we're getting into this is because the BRIC nations, the Silk Road is being built. Now, let's do this before we kind of break up. The Silk Road, we kind of let off with that last week. The reason we're getting on the gold part is because the Silk Road nations are doing the gold. They're dumping treasuries and paper dollars in order to buy gold and silver. They're encouraging their people to buy gold and silver in country to get out of the paper money. So everybody else in the world is preparing, but we are not. And so we wanted to show that, and then we wanted to show why the gold is leaving our hemisphere and going to the east. Is because we're paying them off to keep our illusion going. And the illusion is vital to know. And I know who wants to make these changes. But if we're not back to a constitutional source of money or a biblical source of money, we're going to make the change whether we want to or not. One's going to be forced, and it'll be too late. So it's important to know this.
Terry, you mentioned the Silk Road. You've said that several times, and I'm sure there are people that are watching that really don't understand what that is, but it's really a trade route that has been established on a map that China is actually selling things. You told me before one of the shows started, I think last week, that was it Greece that they have actually paid to build a shipping
bought the port.
China owns the port.
Owns the port now.
Because they realize how valuable it is that they're selling their goods to that country. Not necessarily exporting anything from that country, and I'm sure they are to some degree, but importing to Greece from China so much more stuff.
And you know, that Silk Road goes back over 1,000 years, well over. It's an ancient trade route. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason it's important is they have cemented the maritime, the shipping lanes. They have built railroads from China over to Europe.
Wow.
Roads for trucks have been built from China to Europe. They have successfully built the infrastructure to ship all the goods they're producing from the east to the west. And if you just study history, whoever controls the trade is the wealthy and the powerful. It's just the way it was all through history. If you're the trader, or people would gravitate to the traders. And Charles is right. They're buying ports. They're establishing the routes. That's why the battles in the South China Sea are taking place. So if the Silk Road is in place, and it's done, by the way, it's done. I haven't even gotten into the secret agreement with the IMF and the Chinese yuan and such, but the Silk Road's done, and we are getting ready to step down from our supremacy, and it's just a matter of them negotiating the terms for us to save some face. But we better be properly positioned. I think an education is the best thing, of course. And so here's a little information. Please take it seriously. Register. Get protected.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those of you who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you who have cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call our toll-free number or register on our website now.
Terry, this financial system that is operating in the U.S. that has seemingly spread all over the world is something that's being controlled real tightly by the elite, the people that own and operate near everything. And it's really vital for us to be aware of how this system operates. If you don't, you're going to get caught tangled up in it. And when this system starts to deflate, the value of things that you have will begin to go down as well. That's one of the reasons we're telling you constantly to be prepared. Just get prepared. Do some research yourself. Get information that you need to make wise decisions. You can't make decisions without having proper information and facts. Get the facts and make decisions for yourself, for your family, for those that are around you. If you're in a church, for your church. If you're in a business, for your business. So when this currency system, and Terry, you know, we've talked about this numerous times. This is the fourth national bank in America.
Yes.
Every one of them up to this point has gone bankrupt. And I know they've run this thing and kicked the can down the road.
You know what? I'm sorry, but you know better than that one. It's a fourth national time, or a fourth. I know you say fourth national bank, but I know you didn't probably catch yourself saying that. This is not a government bank.
No, it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I want to make sure everyone knows that.
Well, but what I'm saying with a national bank is a bank that covers the nation.
Yes.
So this is the fourth bank. Federal bank is deceiving too. It's not by the federal government.
Right. It's a very private institution.
It's all private. This is the fourth big private bank that's national.
Yes.
That has been in existence, and all three of them
over 100 years,
point,
so they've done a good job.
Yeah, up to this point, all the other three have collapsed, and these guys have learned a lot of stuff from the other guys, but they're doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
They're printing themselves out of business, and this is evolved into the stock market. They're doing the same thing with the stock market. You know, we talked last week how that they're selling gold derivatives, which is crazy that they're telling you they're selling you gold, and it's just paper, and they don't have the gold to back it.
And you know, us biblically know this is not driving themselves out of business. This is using up everything they can to enrich themselves.
Absolutely.
And then it collapses it to create once and for all a one world order. That's where this is going.
Oh, there's no question.
Now watch this. Look at this image here. I mean, this is something else. This is from a gentleman called Paul Warburg. He actually established, you know this, I know you read the books, he established the Federal Reserve with a handful of others. Listen to this quote. We will have a world government, whether you like it or not. The only question is whether the government will be achieved by conquest or consent. You can take that off. What a punk. I mean, I'm sorry, but these oligarchy,
What a punk. I love
these
that.
people, I mean, we need banks. Don't get me wrong.
But watch this. This is
not these kind of banks,
this is playing in. I know a lot of people don't even like to talk about this, but this is playing right into the last book of the Bible.
But it doesn't mean we give up a fight. That's all.
And here's the point: is all over through the Word of God, even in the book of Revelation, when we start seeing all kinds of horrible things take place on the earth, it only takes place to a group of people. It doesn't take place to everybody on planet Earth. A lot of places it says a third of the grass is burned up, a third of the resources is gone.
Yes.
We've got to be the people that are in that group that have prepared that we're in a safe haven with God.
Yes.
No matter, David said it like this, King David said, 1,000 could fall at my side, 10,000 at my right hand, it shall not come near me.
Amen.
And he went on to say, because the Lord was on his side, the Lord was guiding him. If we allow the Lord to guide us and direct us, and we get prepared, although this stuff will be taking place all around us, it can't touch us.
Can't touch us.
That's the key. That's the key to this thing.
It is touching us.
And I get fervent about this.
I know, because you know what? It's touching us.
Sure.
And this is why we in the kingdom need to know. The banking system will survive. Regional banks, local banks were always the proper thing to do for we the people. It can go back. We can go to Austrian economics if we had a massive revolution and an overthrow of something, if the system collapsed kind of thing. I mean, at the end of the day, the government's pretty much never going anywhere. So this is not about a revolution in a physical sense. It's spiritual. And if the way Charles is saying it, if we are spiritually discerning enough, when these criminals, these banking criminals, I mean, they've been doing this to us all along, and we buy it hook, line, and sinker because we want the credit cards and the lifestyle. Now we're enslaved to it. So the thing is, if we're properly positioned with our retirement system, our 401ks, IRAs, our church money, our kingdom money, when this takes place, it goes into the Job scripture, Job 27, it's like 16, 17, where he says, the rich will pile up silver like dust. Now, the rich are them, and the silver always was money, biblically, right? And Job, the oldest book in the Bible, is pretty interesting. Rich will pop silver like dust. I mean, they'll hoard it for themselves. The 1%ers just taken. But in the end of that scripture, it says, but what will be distributed to the innocent. Right? Now, think about this for a second. The rich hoarded silver because it was the money. Well, now the rich is all in the fiat system. That's their money. So the rich are going to pile up the fiat like dust. When the reason it's going to be distributed to the innocent in the end is because if the kingdom gets into biblical money, which is silver, constitutional money, which is silver, when that fiat money collapses, it would be distributed. The wealth of it is distributed to the innocent. Because when the fiat paper goes down, the rich will lose value, but those in the kingdom will gain value. So I just really love that understanding, because these people are Luciferian. This is all spiritual warfare. And you're not stopping it. We're not like kicking the Fed out or something, although we should. But we're not, because it's just not going to happen. You know what I mean?
We should.
So this is spiritual. So what does that mean is, number one, our relationship opens our eyes. Our eyes are open. We get properly positioned. And then we sleep peaceful at night. I have people constantly calling, and Charles, they're in fear, they're confused.
Sure.
It's just a terrible thing. How could you be in fear and confusion if you're in the Spirit? Tell that devil to get off of you right now in Jesus' name.
Jesus said in Matthew 25, he talks about the parable of the talents, which is just such revelational when you come to this. And it's just simply the man that used what he had and used it properly to multiply and increase and to have. The guy that took what he had and stuck it in a hole, which is what a lot of Americans are doing today.
Yes.
They'll take their little bit, stick it in a hole somewhere, never do anything with it to increase it. Jesus called him wicked and slothful. I mean, that's strong language. He called the other guys good and faithful, the people that took what they had and used it and increased it. That's what's going to happen to people that invest in something tangible. And when things like the paper currency system begins to deflate and the stock market paper begins to deflate, there's going to be something that is so tangible and so valuable that other people are going to want it, and they're going to be trying to get it.
And you know, I know anyone who has not followed us for a while. If you followed us for a while, you know. I mean, but for someone who just checked in, they think, oh, this is like an infomercial. We've been on TV for 5 years teaching global economics. We're on a little bit of a thing here with gold and silver because there's a big shift taking place right now. We are in the refining. We are in the refining and minting of it. We're right in the supply side chain. We're not buyers, sellers. The reason I say that is I know things in the refining side. I see the real supply. There's not that much in the world available. It's shifting. So real money is shifting east to west. I mean, west to east. And then I see the dynamics setting up. And so we have a passion for the kingdom to get protected. And so we're talking a lot about this. The quote I just showed you, this has been planned. And remember when I said a couple shows ago, if you watched, 1998, the banks bailed us out. 2008, the central banks bailed out the banks. There was an amazing edition in The Economist magazine where they had a phoenix rising up out of the ashes, the fire below and the ashes were of all the world's fiat currencies. And actually, if you go to our website, you'll see I did a radio interview with this, and there's a picture of it up. It's just unbelievable. But they are sitting on all the currencies. Now, what were they doing? On the chest of the phoenix, which we know a phoenix, what that is, right? It's a rebirthing of death. It's Luciferian. Is a coin. It's a world currency coin. And on the year of that coin, 2018. Ironically, they called this out, and I say they, the power elites, called this out. In 98, the banks bailed it out. 2008, central banks bailed it out. The next one will be the IMF and the SDR bailing it out. That will be the world currency, and ironically, that's right around the corner. Get educated. Let's take a quick break here. Register for information. Don't be shy to at least have a conversation because it's more important that you start to get educated. So check it out.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those of you who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you who have cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call our toll-free number or register on our website now.
103 years, Paul Warburg, it's been 103 years since he said that. Mm-hmm. They have been methodically putting this thing together. You can see it. If you go back in history, you can see how this thing has been coming together. And now we've got a guy that's standing up, running for president that says, I'm a socialist. And he's proud to be a socialist, which is just one more step toward this taking place. I call it a Robin Hood government.
Oh, well, what's even, I mean, what's really scary is I was in the Army and I saw socialism. I was in the Berlin Wall. I actually did a mission with a team. We crossed in to Berlin when it was communist and got to see the people and do some things. But, this is just shocker. I mean, God bless the guy. But the guy is poor as a dirt. Didn't make his first dollar till he was like 40. And you want to take advice from him on how we should handle the business of the country?
Amazing.
I mean, that's like almost insanity.
Yeah.
But it's easy when you say, I'm going to take from someone who produces.
Oh, sure.
And so, we're going to get into some of that because it's actually the youth that are rallying around socialism, they're being tricked. It's corporatism they don't like. But if they understood the principles of how to be a giver, they would understand why, in Jesus Christ, Christians I'm talking, if you actually wanted to combat this and take over the system, how about becoming better givers?
And a producer.
Uh-huh.
There are two types of people in the world, I believe, consumers and producers. If they all turn into consumers, after a while, everything's gone. And they have to depend on somebody that's bigger and more powerful to support them.
Yeah,
if they do that.
Yeah, but who's going to support them?
Yeah, but then they control them if they support them.
And I've seen that firsthand.
Yeah.
And I said, well, look at this image right here to kind of wrap this up. You telling me this is okay? Look at that divergence after the 2008 recession.
That's crazy.
The green line is millions of Americans increased on food stamps. That's socialism stuff.
That's
look at the
almost-
percentage of Americans in the labor force.
Is that almost 70 million Americans on
Yes,
food
but
stamps?
look at the decrease.
How many Americans are in it? How many?
330. But look at the decrease of people in the labor force.
That's all.
And look at how many people on food stamps. Is that not the most astronomical divergence we've ever seen? That's a divergence. That's a divergence. They've been telling you for 7 years that everything's okay. You just saw we've had the biggest increase in welfare, socialism concepts, and yet the labor force is evaporating. There's a big change coming, all right. He wasn't kidding when he says he's got change in mind, but it definitely is no good for you, because I'll tell you one thing a socialist will do. He will steal your Bible, steal your free speech, and tell you what you can and cannot do, and you will regret it for the rest of your life if you don't start speaking up. Until then, wait till you see the other data. You think that divergence is something, wait till you see the next stuff next week. Until then, God bless you, okay?
Next week is going to be tremendous as we get into more things that are happening around the world. You've got to be here for it. Tell somebody about the broadcast. You can also watch these programs at CORNERSTONEAssetMetals.com. My name is Charles Vance for Terry Sacka. Join us next week for the Wealth Transfer. We'll see you then.
Asset Metals has focused on using gold and silver reserves to protect your assets from volatile currencies. Another hard asset that is just as important for your sustainability is food. We believe that preparation is a key to being successful in an unstable economic environment, so we started CAM Ready Food just for you. The Bible tells us that Joseph used the resources of Egypt to prepare for a global famine by storing up food in a time of plenty. His preparation not only preserved the lives of his family, but many others as well. At Cornerstone, we believe the time is now to re-examine this biblical lesson so that you and your family can be prepared for any disaster, job loss, food shortage, or economic instability. You can start preparing today by visiting our website, camreadyfood.com, because food truly is the ultimate currency.
Are you concerned about the security of your financial future? Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you prepare for the extraordinary times ahead by protecting and preserving your assets through silver and gold. At Cornerstone, the protection and preservation of your investment is our first goal. So we are here to serve you with honesty, transparency, and respect. Take control of your future by registering on our website at CornerstoneAssetMetals.com or call us toll-free at 888-747-3309. Call now, 888-747-3309. At Cornerstone, securing your future is our goal.